Miller. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Stoked to be here.
Yes, it is awesome to have you here. We met because of Chiller, which is Wes Miller, or Wes Chiller is his stage name, which is pretty cool because we were at the Dead Man's Luau recently.
Yeah, that's
You had your husband there, the family. I saw your parents, your mom with the bubble gun. I was like, dude, I wanted to say hi to her. I'm like, dude, just let everyone have a good time.
Oh my gosh, you should have. Part of her having a great time is meeting new people.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah. I watched her lay down a lot of chats with a lot of different people all night long. So.
That's so rad. Now, you came because you were the luau. How do you say that? I want to make sure I say this right. Were you the head luau?
I was the queen of the luau.
The queen of the luau. That's what it is. The queen of the luau. There we go. Okay. Yeah. How did that come about? I wanted to ask and talk to Wes about it, but I'm like, I'll just talk to her on the podcast about it. How did you get linked up to do that?
Yeah.
Because you're not local anymore, right?
No. I live on the East Coast now. So Wes and I grew up together. He's actually my oldest friend. We've known each other forever. And
Get out of here.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. We share the same last name. So
That's rad.
in school, we always sat next to each other. We were always next to each other in the lunch line. So he's been my man for a lot of years, more than 20 years we've been good
20
friends.
years.
Yeah. Wow. So we actually met, I grew up dancing hula and I competed at this big show in California called a Hula Mau.
Okay.
And Wes and his family, I mean, you know them, they're just so ingratiated in the aloha spirit. They love the Hawaiian culture. Wes has played ukulele forever and ever. I listened to your podcast with him recently.
Oh, cool.
Hearing him share that story was just so sweet, like so memorable. And I was the first keiki, which means child in Hawaiian. I was the first keiki soloist for my halau, which is my like Hawaiian hula dance troupe, basically. Okay. And I remember Wes came up to me after the show and introduced himself. There's actually a photo of us next to each other when I don't even remember how old we were. It must have been 8 or 9 years old. And so it was kind of a big full circle moment for us.
Yeah.
Know, getting to the luau, like having it be this big collaboration. But yeah, it's been a lot of years since I've danced hula on stage, and Wes was originally looking to me to just kind of give a little bit of insight into the Hawaiian culture and what would make the luau feel really special and just the right amount of authentic and cheesy. So it kind of just evolved from there, and it turned into him asking me to host it and dance, and it was, I don't know, it was a wild
that was
night
a great
when you
night.
were there.
Yeah, I mean, so everybody knows you should have came to the Dead Man's Luau. It was a good time. How did you pick your I don't want to say, is it costume is the best way to put it? You did have a costume, right?
It was a Halloween party. It was definitely a costume.
Right. Now, were you supposed to be a mermaid? It
kind of went into the mermaid territory. So originally I was thinking, Wes and I, we talked about it just being like a classic hula outfit, which is typically like a hakule, kupe'e, which are around the wrists and ankles, lei, tea leaf skirt. But when I saw his sequin tuxedo jacket, something in me just came alive. I was like, I need something that matches this. And so I started looking, and suddenly it just evolved into, I don't know, creature of the deep meets mermaid.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was great. You and your man walked in. I was like, oh, you guys look fantastic.
It was pretty well. It came together last minute, so
No, it was cool. It was a good time. It was just kind of it had a good atmosphere. Everyone had pretty good vibes, so it was just fun to be around everybody and get away for a little bit. Because I tour manage for him, so I do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that a lot of people don't see too much. Just because my thing with him, I used to do music a lot. I told him, like, look, dude, I'll just come to your shows. I don't need money. Whatever you need done behind the scene, I'll take the stress so you can focus on being the artist.
Oh,
so you can perform and do well. So it takes that pressure off of him. All he has to do is worry about his music.
And you need that balance.
Oh yeah, you need it. Yeah.
So deeply important.
Yeah, so it's been cool to be there and see him evolve and do his thing. He's so funny. I just love him. He's so creative.
He's an animal, man.
Yeah.
He is one of the funniest motherfuckers I've seen in my life. And he's just gotten wilder with age. He's become he's such an adult now, you know?
Yeah.
Like you both are. Like you have this house and these jobs and these responsibilities and these things that are so adult. Like I know that we're in our 30s.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's still an 8-year-old boy. Like,
oh yeah,
he's still just like wild and crazy, and it's been really cool to feel that like enthusiasm build and to like have somebody who you get to do that with.
Yeah.
You know, collaboration is key when it comes to creating new things.
Oh yeah. It was cool the way he and I connected because, you know, I had no idea he came from a different fire department, and I had just promoted. I'm working on a new rig, and he was there that day. Come to find out, he's like, "Hey, you surf?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've been surfing since I was like 8 years old, dude. I go all the time." He's like, "I surf too." Next, you know, now we're surfing, having fun,
longboarding together.
Oh yeah, all the time, all the time. It's super cool, and to see someone in our job field, you know, working as firefighters and what we do, there's a lot of stress involved. Yeah. There's a lot of things we have to deal with that most people will never see or understand, but to see him as a creative as well, be in that atmosphere is so. It was just encouraging for me because there's nothing wrong with firefighters, right? But we work inside a box, right? We all wear the same uniform. You follow the SOPs. This is how you shall do this, that. But for us, being creative and writing music or doing podcasts or whatever your art is, you think outside the box. And that's not too popular in the fire service at all, you know? So it's cool to see someone else who can do that, but also have what we do on the side, and we thrive off it together. And why we've just become such close friends and teaming up and doing stuff. So it's pretty cool. It's cool that you guys have been friends that long. But have you surfed your whole life too?
Yeah.
That's freaking good. Are you surfing on the East Coast?
I haven't so much. So I've had a little bit of a wild trip on the East Coast. For me, like the moves have been very functional. I'm from California, but I spent a lot of years in Hawaii, which is where I was living before I moved to New York. Okay. And so the East Coast has just been this different experience. Like I went originally because I was a flight attendant with American Airlines.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Right
so
on.
I was with them for a few years, and so I was based out of New York and did that whole grind. But I was living in Hawaii, commuting to New York.
Right.
And I did not last very long.
No. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Then I went back to school to get my master's in Chinese medicine and acupuncture.
We are going to talk about that.
Yeah, sure.
I love you sent me like who you were before.
I felt like it'd be a little easier.
Yeah. Because usually I invite people on, I'm like, let's just let it be organic and be what it's going to be. But I'm like, reading, I was like, wow. I was like, hey, Sam, too. Like, she's pretty smart. She's a very intelligent woman over here.
Thank you.
So real quick on that surfing, I surfed in New York. It was years ago.
Montauk? Long Beach.
Long Beach to
Long Beach.
Yes, yeah. Long Beach. It was so cold.
It's so fucking cold.
I could not believe it. I was not prepared. No. I had a spring suit, and I was like, well, I'm here. I'm just going to go. I was freezing.
It's so real. We've done the polar bear plunge out there on Super Bowl Sunday, and snow on the ground. Everyone's just so cold. It's so cold. Yeah. It's a blast, but no, the East Coast surfers, it's a hardcore crew.
Yes, it is.
Like I had a lot of friends who surfed, and just the dedication that it takes to, when you're living in the city especially, and if you don't have a car, and it's like you're rolling on public transportation with your surfboard, your wetsuit, you need so much gear because it's cold. Right. So it's like you're not just like in, trunks and a shirt with like a change of shorts in the bag ready to, hop back on the subway to get back home. It's a whole thing. So.
Oh, yeah. It's funny you say that because I borrowed a friend's longboard who used to live out here. He moved for his job. For whatever reason, took his longboard, which probably he didn't surf much out there. But I remember being on the subway with this 9'8" long. Yeah, and people were looking at like, dude, what are you doing? It's like, whatever, dude. I'm going to surf, so I don't care. It's all good. Yeah. Okay, so you got your master's in what again?
Acupuncture and Chinese medicine.
Where'd you go to get that?
Yeah, so I went to school in Manhattan. I was in New York. Okay. I went to Tri-State College of Acupuncture, and it was a specific master's program for Chinese medicine, specifically to become an acupuncturist.
Wow. And it was... Okay, what was your undergrad then? Was it something that...
I did pre-med.
You did pre...
Yeah, I did...
Damn, girl.
So my background's in Western biomedicine.
Okay, did you originally want to like be a doctor or something?
Yeah, that was the plan. That was the plan. I did public health and microbiology and was always kind of set on that path. And then towards the end of school, when everyone was applying to med school and getting ready for that process, I remember I just finished taking a health organization and policy class. Yeah. I was just thinking to myself, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, this seems like such a bad idea.
That's a lot. Yeah.
So I completed my holistic health certification concurrently while I was in school. It was just a 2-year certification. And then I stepped away from education for a couple of years, moved to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Did literally nothing for a few years. I took a break. I took a much needed break.
Yeah.
I think especially in our 20s, like we need that space just for clarity. And I mean, it's why I remember when I decided to quit American, Wes was so just like, what are you thinking?
Oh,
like, what are you doing? Oh, he was so just like, what are you doing? Like, you've got a good job with a good company.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was
He's coming at probably cares. It's like a parent.
Exclusively because he cares. Like, he is one of those people who's just always seen the potential in others and is not afraid to push them. Yeah. Part of his charm, part of his best qualities is he nudges. But I'm grateful that I was a flight attendant for a few years because it's such a tough job. You never really think about it. I mean, it must be like being a firefighter.
You're in service, yeah.
You're in service, those sleepless nights, like just the rigmarole, like being with people in that capacity. And I was so unhealthy and so deeply unhappy that the question became like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I want to make a difference in people's life. I want to help people. Like, I want to do something that has more meaning to me specifically. Yeah. And I'd meet other flight attendants who just loved what they were doing, and they were so excited and so passionate and loved showing up. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't feel that way. Like, I don't want to do this. And then I met my husband, bless him, and I just remember thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, there's no fucking way. I'm not going anywhere. Like,
a little thing called love.
It is. It just, all of a sudden, you know, my whole life changed. So then I went back to
Was that in
school.
New York that you met him?
We met in Peru.
Peru, of all places.
Yeah.
Peru. That's rad.
Yeah, we met in the Amazon jungle. So.
What?
Maybe you should be on here, Jess.
Jeff, come take a seat, man. We got a lot to talk about, bro.
Gosh. Yeah.
So were you both on vacation? Is that what it was?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure. There are no limitations to what we can talk to. All right. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm an open book. Yeah. But yeah, Jeff and I met at an ayahuasca retreat.
Oh, very good.
So it was...
That's very healing.
Very, yeah. So it was my second year down there. Yeah, I just did it recently.
Yeah. Oh, see. Yeah. I got it on my arm.
Yeah.
Well, because of my tattoos, they had to do it on the backside of my arm or whatever.
Absolutely.
But, I was going to ask that.
Sure.
You know, you're in the holistic and Chinese medicine, which is, I'm a huge supporter of it, mainly because I'm not a big fan of taking a lot of meds.
Sure.
I'm even to the point I've had a few injuries because of my job. Torn rotator cuff, different things have happened. I've had roofs, hit me in the head, fall down, all this stuff. I've had brain injuries. It's a great career. Yeah. But it wrecks you. It wrecks you hard. And, so I remember after coming off the brain injury and dealing with that, I felt like I was still in a really bad fog. It's taken me years to feel normal internally. And I remember my neurologist telling me, you're going to feel off, but to everyone else, you'll feel normal. And it gets to a point where you're just super frustrated. You're like, man, I can't put these things together. I mean, it was so bad. Had to get my speech back. Then, they had to have shapes and colors. So it's like, hey, put this square in the square peg. Wow. And I'd be trying to put it in the round. It's weird because I knew it was a square, but from here to my hands just wasn't computing. So it was a lot, and I've still dealt. I think the injury was...
How long ago?
I think it was 2020.
Wow.
Yeah, 2020.
Recent.
It was right when the pandemic hit.
Wow.
Yeah, I was on duty, rolled a vehicle. I don't remember. It was a rainy day, and then I wake up in the hospital, can't talk right, and eventually just lose my speech. It was crippling in many ways, very humbling. You think, my career's over. How am I going to provide? I got a mortgage to pay for and all this other stuff. But coming off that and getting back to work, for a time, it wasn't working well. And then you start feeling very inadequate. You start getting very dark thoughts. And that's where I kind of raised my hand and was like, okay, I need some help. Yeah. I luckily have that at work as far as they have therapists on call for us through a program. But then there was a friend of mine, his name is John Vargas, and he's a firefighter, but he gives out Cambo. He does that, ayahuasca and some other stuff. And he reached out to me. He listened to the podcast a lot. He's like, hey man, I know we haven't talked in a while, but he said, I had some concussions and I was dealing with a lot of same things you've talked about why don't you come try ayahuasca? At that point, I was like, I'll try anything. I'll go for it. And it was one of the, what I usually tell people, it's one of the most beautifully violent experiences I've ever had. Because you deal with so much and it feels like it's this third person out of body type thing.
Sure.
And it was very emotional for me, but it was very healing. And there was a lot that I dealt with just in that amount of time. And I'm a huge supporter on Kambo and ayahuasca. I think there's so much more we can do for ourselves.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm a huge supporter of these organizations that help with PTSD for fire, police, military, because there's so much that we see and deal with that you can't put into words.
Yeah.
You know, we see a lot of violence, but we did sign up for it. We're here to help people.
Yeah.
But who's going to help me?
Yeah.
That's where I got to a point. How do I help myself?
Yeah.
I'm helping people, and I feel like I'm losing my mind here. And after doing that ayahuasca, it was a life changer.
It is.
It gave me so much clarity, and it gave me had hope again. You know, I was like, oh my gosh, Tim, you're going to be fine. Like, hey, bro, get yourself together. It's going to be good. So I love to hear that both of you guys were doing that. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
It really is, if you're ready for it.
Of course.
I always say. But is that something that you also learned in the medicine that you learned with your degrees and all that?
So it was really, it was kind of the other way around. So, yeah, I started working with ayahuasca when I was 24.
Okay.
And I met Jeff when I was 25, and I went back to school when I was just about 26.
Okay, so it was before.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, and it was really, similar to you. You know, I'd been through quite a bit of trauma, different accidents, sexual trauma, difficult things. Like I said at the beginning, there's nothing off limits with me.
It's all good.
I'll tell you everything.
Yeah.
I'm open with people for a living. So
hey, you never know who's going to be inspired. That's what I say.
Yeah, it's easy to talk about. But it was just hearing you kind of recount that experience as well, like that frustration, that openness and willingness. You're like, I'll try anything. Like, I will do anything because this isn't working for me.
Yeah.
And that's typically like where I meet clients at as well, is when they're kind of at like their wit's end. They're like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to take ownership of my life, to take control of my circumstances, to feel like I'm not at the mercy of my experiences, and instead like I'm my own person and I have a choice here and I have resilience. And so it was like this big turning point in my life where I'm sure that so many people can relate to that in their 20s, just being, lost.
Yeah.
Lost and hopeless and frustrated and in poor physical health, poor emotional health, like really questioning your mental well-being as well.
Yeah.
And so it was, something that calls to you. And so, yeah, I went to the jungle the first year when I was 24, and then I went back at 25, about a year later, took plenty of much needed time to integrate everything. Yeah. And then it was during that retreat that I met Jeff, and just the message came through that it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, there's so much more to what I'm capable of. There's so much more that calls to me, and I need to help people in any way, shape that I can, even if I'm ill-prepared for it. So the question kind of became, how do I get prepared for this? How do I develop the skills and the tools and the knowledge to be of service to other people? Yeah. And it came in a dream, It's like acupuncture played a big role in my healing journey. I'm, Chinese Hawaiian on my mother's side, and so we grew up seeing acupuncturists. But like with acupuncture, it's something that mirrors the work that ayahuasca provides, because it's a complete system of healing. And what a lot of people aren't aware of with ayahuasca is that it's part of a greater pharmacopoeia of medicinal plants, and it's a complete system. And that's really what I fell in love with Chinese medicine, and with all ancient true medicine. Like you see this with Ayurvedic medicine, and it's something that sees the human as so much more than just their physical body, so much more than just their emotions or their spirit. It sees them as, again, these complete beings. Yeah. So that's why acupuncture's the shit. Oh, yeah, Chinese medicine's the fucking shit.
Absolutely. I do acupuncture my back and my knees. That's what I do a lot. Well, I'm getting old, man. I got to start doing some stuff to help myself out here. Speaking of which, at the Dead Man's Luau, I don't know if you saw when I said hi to you. I totally had earplugs in the whole night. The whole night. I was like, dude, I got to keep because just from work, I've lost hearing in my left ear just from the loud motors and stuff like that. So I'm like, I'm going to put these in. I may look like a dad, but it is what it is.
Be a dad.
Have a good night.
Just do the dad thing.
So from graduating with your master's, you have your own business now. Did that start right when you finished your master's degree, or is that something that kind of you built up over time?
Yeah, so it was a combination. So I opened my private acupuncture practice right when I passed the boards and got licensed. And then it was really the same kind of nagging feeling for a lot of years where I love acupuncture. I love treating people. I love having my hands on people. But I just remember thinking to myself again and again, like, this is medicine and this is knowledge that everyone needs to have. And so from that idea emerged my online business. Okay. And that's really like the big focus. Like to me now, acupuncture is the pleasure. Being with people, having that time, being with them face to face. And then the bulk of my business is online where I educate people. So I have a 3-month online program, The Balanced Woman, and it's where I teach women specifically how to heal themselves holistically. Okay. Heal their bodies, master their emotions, align their lives, work through trauma, work through blockages, work through hormonal imbalances. And it's amazing because I get to work with women from all over the world now. Yeah.
It's so awesome. Your business is literally worldwide pretty much. It's your online.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, I've known from a lot of my fellow personnel firefighters, because we're exposed to so much over time, because nowadays, right, a lot of things are made out of plastic. Yeah. So that smoke isn't burning as clean as people think, right? It's not the old homes with the nice wood furniture and the metal trash can, right? It's particle stuff and plastic. So we get exposed to a lot. And with that, I know at least on the male side, we have a lot of infertility issues, and so do some of the women. Does some of what you do deal with that in the females' infertility type issues or trouble getting pregnant?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's got to be a major part of it, right?
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of my friends struggling with that.
Definitely. I mean, I see women for a whole host of imbalances, but like the main ones are definitely fertility, PMS, PCOS, fibroids, uterine cancer, cervical cancer. Okay. I mean, cancers of all kind. Yeah. And then obviously like the emotional ramifications that come with being physically out of balance as well. Yeah. So the anxiety, the depression, the suicidal thoughts, postpartum depression, and just feeling disconnected. You know how it is when something's going on with you physically. How does it not eventually wear down on your mental clarity and your emotional capacity? So it's ensuring that across the board holistically, you're being cared for in a way that's cohesive and comprehensive.
Yeah, I'm really glad you've been hitting on so much because, and this is not, some people are going to need the pharmaceutical meds.
Oh, yeah.
I get
Again, my background's in Western medicine. Yeah. I love Western medicine.
Yeah, I get it, but I shy away from it. Because a lot of these meds are really tough on your organs. A lot of people don't understand. And even like some of my family members, they'll say, oh, I'm good. I took my blood pressure med today. Like, no, it's meant for you to take it for a little bit of time and then get yourself healthy so you get off it, not be on it for like 15 years. So it's almost like, I hate to say this, but from what I've noticed, it's sick people make money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Healthy people don't.
They don't.
So that's
no one's making money off of me anymore.
Yeah, right. I mean, not that I don't have an addictive personality, but I had throat surgery back in 2015, and it was the healing process on that was terrible because everything we do, life, is through your mouth. You eat, breathe, drink, everything. Yeah. Girl, it hurt to breathe.
I can't even imagine.
Oh, it was terrible. It was like they're saying, hey, it'll be like 7 days. That was the longest 7 days of my life. And I remember they gave me liquid codeine. Take this for your pain. It was like every 4 hours. And after a couple of days, I noticed I needed it every 3.5. Now I need it 2. And then once I started realizing, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not taking this like I'm supposed to. I was like, nope, I'm done. Yeah. Toss it out. I'll just take Tylenol. I'll just deal with it. Because I don't want to get hooked on that. I've seen that a lot with, unfortunately, some people that I know where they've been given these heavy narcotics to help with pain. The next thing you know, they're hooked on it.
It's terrible.
Oh, it's bad. Yeah. It's an epidemic in itself. That's why I'm such a big pusher on trying to do things naturally first. Start with your least invasive, then go on to your most invasive, whether that's narcs or whatever you got to do to feel better. But I'm a huge supporter of what you're doing. I think it's very, very important. I know Wes is. Yeah. We talk about it all the time. I mean, you heard us talk about it. I'm sure with what you do, how you help people, it doesn't line up as well with surfing and being grounded in the ocean. And because that in its own way for me, I'm only 37, but my dad's a lifelong surfer. He had me out since I was like 8 years old. You know, that's what we do. And I remember him telling me, and it stuck with me all these years so much, because he's that older generation, right? He's a Vietnam vet, different time, like, man, go to work and provide, you know, and then the women stay home, whatever. But I remember him taking me to the ocean in surfing, and he said, always respect this place. Everyone comes here for a different reason, but leaves better. Yeah. I remember being like 8 years old. I was like, shoot, what? What did you talk? Can we just go surf, dude?
No.
But my goodness, like, as we grow, right, our 20s, like, the mystery of life is interesting. It has highs and some heavy, heavy lows. And where I've felt always so grounded and like I'm going to be okay is even when life hurts, if someone's passed away, or difficulties of diagnoses, or the joys of newborn in the family, or whatever it may be, I go to the beach and I stand on that sand and I hang out and watch surf for a little bit before I go in. And I always just feel like everything's going to be good. I can feel the ocean breeze. The sand feels good on my toes, except for when it's like 105 out and the sand's burning me alive. But then you get in the water and it's like, you have to, I mean, for us now, it's natural, right? I can just turn on a board and boom, just jump up because you've been doing it for so long. But, you know, to the focus you need to have for the timing of the wave, watching the swell, timing the swells, how many sets are in the swell, you know, how many waves are in this set coming through, and, you know, what am I going to do? Am I hang 10 this time? And you have to focus so much. It's like, I forget everything. Yeah. And every time I get out, whether it's the first wave or last wave, I'm always smiling.
Always.
I try to encourage so many people, like, just go to the beach, man.
Yeah.
Get in the water. You never know what's going to do for you. I don't know if that ever lines up with what you're helping people with.
Oh my gosh, to a T. I mean, that's to a T. I love listening to people. So that's the beauty of Chinese medicine, because it's elemental medicine. And, you know, people, they have a very standard understanding of acupuncture, where they're like, oh, it really helps with low back. Oh, I have a friend who got pregnant. Oh, like, it helps with headaches or sleep quality or anxiety. But what I teach people is the deeper philosophy and also the system beneath it, which is all based on 5 elements, and how these 5 elements, fire, earth, metal, water, and wood, mirror the external seasons, mirror the seasons of our life, mirror the way that we process things. And it's such a deep and profound way to begin to look at everything in your life. So even hearing you talk about these times in your life, like these lows and these highs, like, the beauty of seeing it from this perspective is that you recognize the place that both of these experiences have in you growing and progressing as a person. How we need to have these moments of struggle. We need to have these times when we feel disconnected from ourselves, when we feel lost, when it feels like everything's just going to shit. Like, one thing after another is just fucking going to shit. We need it, you know, because these are those formative experiences, which in Chinese medicine correspond to yin, which is darkness, nighttime, the downward movement of energy to more of the feminine, to more internal reflection, to winter, you know. It's these times when it feels like nothing's changing. Everything hurts. I'm sitting in the dark. I don't know my way out. I don't know if there's ever going to be a springtime. You know, it's that pure, like, winter, that hibernation time. And when you learn to recognize it for what it is, it makes those dark times not only bearable, it makes them meaningful, because you know that inevitably there's springtime coming. There's movement. You just said the word hope with that, like how ayahuasca gave you hope. And hope is the emotion associated with springtime, associated with the wood element, associated with new beginnings.
Gosh, you said something so good. And
what'd I say?
What'd I say? What's going on here? No, that struggle that hits us at times. You know, there's always a saying I will try to tell friends who are going through. I've once married before. It was terrible going through divorce. Don't wish it on anybody. But those are some dark times, right? Hard. And I've been helping people, that are friends that are dealing with that. It's hard, right? They equate it to a death in the family. That's what it feels like. But there's so many times I tell friends, and I've read it myself, you know, calm seas didn't make a skilled sailor. You know, that sticks with me at times, because the reality is, I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter if you're the wealthiest person in the world, you are the poorest, or you're the highest performing athlete, or you're a nobody. We're all going to deal with very difficult times.
Yeah.
Struggles come your way. No one's going to escape that. And there's so many times in those dark moments I felt to myself, you're like, dude, there's no escape. How am I going to get through this? I mean, there was times in my life, at least for me, of literally being on my knees, just crying. Like, I even prayed, God, I need help here.
Yeah.
Like, I need someone needs to help me because I can't do this. This is too much. But then realizing years down the road, you look back, you're like, damn, I got through that. Like, it's okay. Like, there's so much I learned. You know, I look back, I'm like, dang, this and this. So you list off the things that I learned that were good from that. Here's this, and this I did bad. And you progress and you grow. And I've always learned, at least for me, some of the best growth and learning I had were through the difficult times and the bad decisions.
Of course.
I've learned some heavy decisions. Yeah. And even to the point, at least for me, of having empathy for people now. You know, like I say, I've had great success in my life. I've done well. I've had very dark times. I've had a lot of money. I've not had a lot of money. Still had the same issues. Yeah. Still had the same problems. I've met really awesome people. I've met people that are nuts, you know, but they're all going through something. And to sit, and it's like we talked about earlier, the whole reason I do this podcast, I like listening to people just as much as you like helping and talking to people. And it's amazing when I get people on here, you start hearing their stories. You're like, I had no idea you were going through that. Yeah, like, that's heavy. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, this is what I did. And well, you're like, yo, dude, that's super inspiring. You start hearing people dealing with real life. Yeah. Not the fake of social media. You know, let's be real, right? Social media is great. It's good for business and all that, but good Lord, a lot of it's so fake. You're seeing the best of people, right? And I'm like, well, that's cool. I want to know about your hard times. I want to know how you got to where you are. Yeah. What made you the person that you are? What are some of the mistakes? What are the difficult times that were out of your control? But my goodness, looking back and seeing, just as me talking personally, the growth that I've had, and there's still regret. Trust me. You're like, dude, I can't believe I made that decision. I can't believe I talked to that person that way. But you become such a better person. For me, I had to start realizing, like, with anything I've had an issue with or I've made a mistake, I don't point at the person. I've learned now to look at myself. Yeah. Okay, where did I go wrong? How could I have projected myself better? How could I have talked to this person better? Why did I make that bad decision? Or why did I make that good decision that went well? What led up to these things? And that's what has helped me grow as a person. But man, it's been difficult at times. And, you know, I've had great conversations with Wes where we open up with each other, because I think an added stress to not just dealing with your own life, but now you add on the things that we see in our career field, you know, and it's like we work 2 days on, 4 off. So in a 48-hour period, right, you know, we'll see someone who took their own life to someone who's had a heart attack. We delivered a baby, fought a fire, cut a person out of a car. And it's like, okay, 7 a.m. is hit. Go home and be a husband, a son, a father, uncle, whatever it's going to be, and be normal. And you're like, in this shell shock mode, you're like, dude, I just saw this craziness. Exactly. Yeah, like, how do I... And the bummer with a lot of this is it teaches us to bury things, which is a bad idea. And I did that for so many years. And then that starts to play in your private life. And this goes for anybody. Of course. You don't handle the issues that you have. Now that's playing a role in my relationships, whether it's someone I'm dating or with family. Like, why am I getting angry? Why over what? Because there's addition. Like, what am I flipping out for right now? There's no reason to be this way. And realizing it's something within I need to handle. You know, I need to dig inside myself and figure out the things that I've been through that have affected my soul and my heart, so I can be a better person and not start cowering away and become this dark entity of Tim Fisher that doesn't need to be, because that's happened. I noticed that when I struggle, I cower away. I wouldn't say cower, but yeah, I hide. I keep everybody out. Sure. I don't want anyone to know, like, I'm struggling, I'm having a hard time. And that's where you start getting these thoughts where it's like, you know, maybe it's better I'm not here. And it's like, wait a minute, let's stop this right now. Any day above the dirt's a damn good day. I don't care how bad your struggle is. That's why we're so big on here about PTSD, you know, or fire, police, military getting help, because so many people just don't understand. Yeah. And then what do? They throw medication at us. Yeah. You're like, no, dude, there's better ways. That's why I'm like, such a big proponent on what you're doing. And I know it's geared towards women, right? Yeah. Do you also do with the men as well?
I do, yeah. Okay. So I have the primary focus is women, but I've also found that within a family especially, women tend to be the drivers. So when their shit is in balance, when they know who they are, when they know what they're supposed to be eating to support their health, support their hormones, when they know how to resolve emotional blockages and move through trauma, when they're no longer being governed and directed by these experiences that they've had that may create this, this unfounded anger or projection, it's like a ripple effect. There's this saying in Chinese medicine, it's a Taoist saying that I've adopted for my own purposes and my own interpretation.
I like it.
But essentially, it's like when one person heals, they can help another person heal. And when 2 people are healed, they can help 3 people heal. And when 3 people are healed, all people are healed.
Let's freaking go. I love that.
So it's the same principle. It's like, I know that if I can help one woman, her family changes. Her friendships change, and that has a ripple effect. So I start with women because I'm a woman. I
you're
work
female.
with them. Yeah. I am a lady. But I work a lot with couples, which I see often, and then I work a lot with men in my private practice. But we're hoping to expand, and we're hoping to work with men as well. And even just hearing you talk about this, my mother's always very concerned about me. I'm sure that you hear about this all the time. But she's always like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm good. I'm good." But growing up as a very sensitive child, as someone who's always taken an interest in people and loves people and has the tendency to growing up, I'd find myself in the position where people would just open up, dump a lot on me, and it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was exhausting. It's really difficult when you're that person. People love you, They're like, "I'll just tell you everything, Tim, no problem." Yeah. If you don't have the skills and the tools and the resources and the sense of center to ensure that you're in balance, you can start to absorb a lot of that. You carry that with you. You carry the things that you've experienced from work, And I still remember when Wes told me he wanted to be a firefighter, I was like, "No." I was like, I don't want you to be a firefighter. Like, I don't want you to do it. I'm like, I love you. I'm so proud of you. I think that's amazing. I think that's a terrible idea. Yeah. I don't want that for you. But as someone who's in a very different field of work, but also something similar, where I have women coming to me day in and day out, sharing about the various traumatic experiences they've been through, which are just dreadful, terrible, the things that people have endured, myself included. I remember when I first started, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. As an acupuncturist, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't know if I can have my hands on these people. I don't know if I can hold this space for them to help them move through these really intense, like physical blockages, emotional blockages, things that have shaped their behavioral patterns, their addictive behaviors, their relationships. And it's through an education where I really learned the structure and the system. And it's also through a very in-depth education with ayahuasca, with our maestra there, like apprenticing her, learning from her, learning how to be resilient so that when these things inevitably, come towards me, when women come towards me needing to work through this shit, it's like water off a duck's back. Like I remain centered, like I remain myself, because I know that when I'm in order, when I'm in balance, when I'm centered, that's how I'm able to be of service. I don't need to absorb everyone's things. I don't need to relieve them of their burdens. It's my mission to teach them how to relieve their own burdens, to center themselves so that they too can be resilient and navigate the difficulties and struggles of life with the same clarity and ease that I've actively cultivated within myself. It's things like this, things like what you're doing. You know what it means to be centered, so that when you're pulled off center through any number of experiences, any number of things that you see, you know how to bring yourself back.
Yeah.
And that's the connection to the ocean. That's the connection to nature and to the elements.
Right.
You're like, here I am.
Yeah.
Kind of forgot about you for a while. Lost sight of you.
Yeah.
And then you get out of the water and you're like, I'm still in there.
Yeah.
I'm still me.
Yeah. It's almost like, gosh, you get out, you feel like you're that resilient kid who's just having fun.
Yeah.
It's, you bring up so many good points, because how many people probably feel like, how do I help myself?
Yeah.
I know what that feels like.
That's the question.
It's a terrible feeling. Giving people the tools.
Yeah.
To help them live a better life, be centered, like you said, gosh, it's so important.
It
really is, because the struggle life is real, man. We're all going through something. It's not easy. You're dealing with so many different things happening in work and family and moving, living here, your family lives over there. And it's amazing. But I think for me, at least, with age and time and experience in life, you start to learn the importance of making sure yourself is taken care of.
Yeah.
Because like you said,
first and foremost.
Yeah. How am I going to pour out into other people if I'm not doing good?
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like at work for so long. We're sitting here and like literally we're saving people.
Saving people.
Yeah.
Giving your bodies, giving your
my
sleep,
gosh.
giving your mental and emotional well-being.
Yeah. And then you get off and you're just like, you're in this weird fog and like shell shock mode.
There's nothing left. And then you're supposed to go home.
Yeah. And it's like, you still have responsibilities. Yeah.
You're just getting started.
So it's so beautiful doing that what you're doing. It's so important. It really is, to show people there is a way. There is a way. Like, almost, I want to say, I promise you there's a way. And the sun's going to rise, and it's a new day to start something new every single day. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that you did say, how I really want people to hear this, because I feel like diet is a huge issue in our country. But food plays such a huge importance on your body and your health, physically and mentally, I would say, correct? What best way I want to ask this is more like, how do we get people to understand that what they're putting in their bodies is important? It's not just like, oh, I'm just going to get a burger today. I'll get pizza tomorrow. Now, hear me out. Okay. We eat pretty healthy, meal prep, all that stuff. Now, on the weekends, that's my time, girl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's have some pancakes. Let's go get a burger. Let's have a shake. Monday comes, boom, we're back on it. But the importance of your diet and your food, how much that plays into your well-being.
Yeah. I mean, it's everything. It's funny you even say that, though, because it's a combination. It's education, of course. You know, like my background's in health education, public health. And it's education, but it's also understanding the deeper value behind it. Why? I'm always concerned with, why am I doing this? Why? Like, what's the ultimate purpose? What's
Making
the
sure
goal
you understand,
here?
right?
If people don't feel connected to what they're doing, if they don't feel connected to their food, connected to what they're putting in their bodies, they're not going to follow through on eating well. There always has to be a deeper why to what we're doing. And a lot of it, funny enough, like, I make shit really complicated sometimes. We all do. Like, I love the intricacies and the details of things. I love to like dig into it, but I always come back to the most simple, basic truths. And when it comes to what we put in our bodies, how we move our bodies, our overall health, what we invest in ourselves, it comes back to, how much am I worth?
Oh, wow.
How valuable is my body?
Yeah.
How valuable is my mental and emotional well-being? Yeah. What do I deserve? Because there's short-term pleasure for long-term pain, and then there's short-term, little bit of discomfort for long-term pleasure.
Girl, real quick, can you say that one more time?
What did I say? I will say it again. I'm like, let me think. What did I say? I said there's short-term pleasure, which can yield long-term pain. And then there is short-term discomfort for long-term pleasure.
Preach,
and
girl.
Food is one of those things. Self-care is one of those things. Moving our bodies. Do I love going to the gym? Not always. You know, I've found a way to fall in love with it because I say to myself, like, I love this. Like, I love my body. I love moving my body. Even the days when it's difficult, I'm in. Like, do I love cleansing with as much regularity as I do? Not always. The last one that Jeff and I did, my husband, was a battle. I was like, this is why I don't cleanse with you. When I cleanse by myself, I'm in the zone. It's at a very ascetic time, like I'm focused. But the funny thing about the recent cleanse that we did, I was like, I know at any given moment I can tell Jeff, like, you want to go get ice cream? And he'll be like, okay.
Oh, yeah. That's a good man. That's a good man.
But even still, like, it was funny moving through it with him.
Yeah.
Like, going through. And it's, when I say cleanse, like, we're not fasting. We're not on an all juice cleanse. It's not that fucking hard.
Right.
Like, you're just eating clean, whole, simple foods. And in Chinese medicine, when it comes to food, when it comes to movement, everyone has a very unique constitution. So what a lot of people don't understand is that is that they need to eat in accordance to their unique body type,
right,
to what they need emotionally. If you're the type of person who's always craving sweets, there's a chance that there's an imbalance within your earth element, that you may have digestive issues, that you may have an underlying deficiency in your spleen or in your pancreas, that you may have the tendency to put on weight in certain places, and a whole host of other things. But they think like there's something wrong with me because I crave sweets, because I have this addictive tendency, because like I just have a sweet tooth and there's nothing I can do about it, as opposed to asking themselves like, is there something that I'm missing that I really need? You know? So it's learning to understand what do you uniquely need. And there's a reason why Chinese medicine is more effective than a lot of other modalities of healing, is because it's highly individualized.
Oh, okay.
Everyone needs something different.
Wow. That is so true. Okay. Why? There's a reason why I do ask this, because I did have that moment where I'm like, okay, I ate this. I feel like trash the next day. I got done surfing at church. I just took my RV down there. I always park, like we get on the base and park and just hang for the day.
So cool.
Yeah, it's great, right? It's
so cool.
It's a fun break. We could be there all day. And I didn't plan appropriately because I usually take my RV on duty. And that's kind of like my thing. When I get off, for me to kind of like get the pressure off of what, you know, dealing with being on shift and all that, I go straight to the beach. And usually if there's no surf, I go skydive. I skydive, paraglide.
Ooh.
Stuff. Yeah. It's
Ooh,
fun.
cool.
Yeah, there's no surf. I'm like, cool. I'm going to go to the drop zone and go surf, or excuse me, go skydive. Then I go for a run and do my thing or whatever. But I didn't plan. I was excited to get down there because the surf was good. I think it was actually a day Wes was down there. We surfed all day. We had a blast. And I was like, man, I am starving. There's a Carl's Jr. over there, which I'm sure you know. I think it's off Christianitas.
Oh, yeah. My brother lives right there.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go over here and just grab a quick double Western bacon cheeseburger. I haven't had one in probably like 10 years. So I get it. I'm eating it, driving on the way home, listen to music. It's a great time. I woke up the next day, Hana. I was so swollen in the face. My face was tight, dude. Everything was kind of like puffy. And I thought, I'm never having that burger again. I cannot do it. It hits me different now. I can't.
Oh, you're definitely going to have one again.
Probably one of these days.
You just got like, it's fewer and far between.
Man, I was thinking, dude, just from the burger? I mean, yeah, I eat clean, but man, that one thing hit me so hard. Yeah. And that's when I started connecting. I'm like, okay, I don't want to feel that way again. Because the next day, the whole day, I just felt sluggish, tired, drained, and like you said, short-term pleasure, right? Boy, when that Western bacon cheeseburger went in, woo! Right? I was pumping. I was driving my little RV.
Oh,
just like,
happy.
Dude, surfed all day. This is great. The next day, I was like, I feel like a blob. I can't do this ever again. But linking that, understanding like, okay, eating this food made me feel this way. Done.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel that way. I don't like how I felt in the morning. I don't like being sluggish all day because I get up and work out and go move first thing. And I didn't want to do anything the whole day. So it's like linking that together and understanding what that made my body feel like. Done.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
For me, it has to be worth it. You know, I love to eat. Like, I'm not one of those girls.
Ain't nothing wrong with eating, you know?
I love to eat. I love to indulge. Like, I'm a happy girl, you know,
I love it.
when there's something good on the table.
Right.
But for me, it's ensuring that there's, again, this balance. So that's really, I mean, that's life, right? That's the seasonality of things. Like, that's being in harmony. It's balance and knowing how far can I push this? How much room do I have to, how do I always say this? So it's not necessarily the best analogy, but it's the one that always helps me visually, probably because there's food involved. But it's basically like if you imagine a plate, you know, and your plate's like pretty full. And you even hear that like in the way that we say things like, oh, I've just got so much on my plate. Yeah. Like when we have a lot on our plate, whether it's, you know, environmental toxins like you were talking about before. We're surrounded by plastic. There's shit in the air. Like there's things in the water. There's things in my food. Like that takes up room on the plate. And if we have a bunch of other crap on the plate, like we have stress on the plate, we have difficulties in our home life on the plate, we have a difficult job, something that taxes us physically and emotionally, and then you're putting on things like bacon cheeseburgers and French fries and alcohol and drugs and whatever, it just takes up room. And so when the plate starts to spill over, those are the symptoms that we start to see. It's when we're just at capacity. That's when we start to see things like brain fog and headaches, poor sleep quality, anxiety, depression, bloating, you know, whatever it may be. And so the whole idea is you need to do things to take stuff off your plate. Like create a little bit of room, because when you've got a little bit of room on your plate, or when you have enough, you can have that bacon cheeseburger and you're like, I'm good. Like there's room on this plate for this right now. Like I'm feeling centered. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling well rested. Like work's not stressing me out. Home life is good. I've been eating generally, 80% clean. You've got room for these things that take up a little bit more space.
Gosh, so true.
Yeah, you just gotta clear
I love how you make it so simple. It's like, well, yeah, it is that simple. Like,
exactly.
What
That's what I mean. We love to complicate things, but we also like the simplicity of what it means to be healthy, But when we're unhealthy, it can feel so complex. Like we're going to one person after the other, trying to look for answers, trying to fix it, trying. And in a lot of ways, it's like just these few simple things need to come into alignment, and then you're good. And then you're cruising, and then difficult things happen, and you're like, "Whoa, this is kind of hard, but I'm okay."
Yeah.
Ideally.
Right? I know. Okay, so you do the acupuncture, and so people kind of understand what is acupuncture doing when you're this way? I don't want to sound dumb, right? But you're putting that needle into somebody, right? So people know when you're focusing on a spot. I mean, I know you can do it for stress or pain. What is that actually doing? What is that activating?
Good question. This is a big question.
There's a lot there.
There's a lot in there. So from the very, very simple level, when there's pain in the body, it's because energy's stagnated.
Okay.
So in Chinese medicine, they call it qi.
Okay.
And when qi stagnates, it creates pain. So qi stagnates for any number of reasons. It can be physical trauma. It can be roofs literally falling on your head, your poor shoulders, your poor noggin. Oh my gosh. It can be things, you can be in an accident, but it can also come from things that are difficult. Like if you've ever been through something emotionally difficult, how stuck you can feel.
Yeah.
You can feel stuck emotionally, or you can feel stuck in your career, or you can feel stuck in your relationship. When things get stuck in your life, it creates pain in the body over time. And how I think of it, it's almost like our body is a series of rivers, right?
Okay.
So if you think of qi stagnation like a big boulder being dropped in a river, what happens over time? The water starts to move a little bit less freely. And something that was once clear and clean and flowing suddenly starts to become a little bit creepy looking.
Yeah.
Like it starts to pool up. Algae starts to grow. It's no longer clear. Like it's diseased, right? The water becomes diseased. So what acupuncture does is it essentially goes in and it removes those boulders, clears out the debris, clears out the buildup, clears out the excess, and allows things to flow the way that they're meant to flow.
My goodness. I did acupuncture, I think it was a few years ago, but I remember, when I was going in for just my knees, because at the time I was doing ultra marathons. I was running 50, 60-mile runs.
Fuck yeah.
It was a fuck yeah, but I tell you, you finish, you feel like you conquer the world, and they give you a banana and a cheap medal. It's like, all right, go home. Good job. You're like, what? That's it? Like, I feel like I conquered the world, man.
No.
But yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, get ready for the next one. And I remember doing my knees, but he suggested, hey, he's gotten to know me. He's a really good dude. He said, you do a lot. You deal with a lot of stress. Let's do some acupuncture for stress. I remember him doing that, and girl, oh my gosh, the rest of the day I was just like, dude, I feel good. Great. Yeah, but I remember like he had some in my hand, and then he put one like freaking right there, and then put one on top of my head. I remember just like sitting there, I was thinking, I wonder how crazy I look right now.
You look nuts. Yeah. Trust me, you look crazy.
Yeah, like I kept looking in between my eyes like, dude, what is this thing right here? But it worked.
It worked.
I was surprised because I was raised in a pretty strict Christian home. I come from a very faith-based home, and I have my own faith. Do I attend church every day? No, like I'm not the poster child for Christianity. I'll tell you that right now, being a believer. But I have my own relationship with my Creator. And that's all that matters to me. But anything outside of like praying in church is just like witchcraft. You can't do that, right? That's just how I was raised. So to do Cambo or try, acupuncture, I was always like, oh, dude, like what's gonna happen? And then to realize like, yo, this is great.
Yeah.
This isn't witchcraft. Like this is good stuff. This is natural healing medicine that will help you. And I could say it just from experience, like it's been a game changer.
Yeah.
It really has. It's realizing like, hey, there's there are people who are going to need different programs and doctors for stuff, but if you just try these things first, you might be surprised how well it's going to work out for you and what it's going to do. Because it has been life-changing for me. And that's why, like when you sent me your profile and what you're doing, I was like, oh man, she's rad, dude. We got to get her on here. We got to talk about this.
Yeah. And it's funny you even say that, we can go that route as well. But when we're open, when we're in alignment, like that is a deeper connection to God or to some sort of higher power or higher purpose or whatever it is that people believe in. But that's been the interesting thing. It was really like through combo, through ayahuasca, that I rediscovered faith in something greater.
Yeah.
It's like, how could you not,
I 100% agree with you. I mean, gosh, just to even know how magnificent the body is.
Oh.
I mean, and this is not to get like crazy spiritual, but I'm just thinking like...
But we can.
Yeah. I mean, it's... Even to think when two people come together and you create a human being, the miracle behind that. I saw this video the other day, and it was showing when the sperm actually implants the egg. There's, I can't remember what they called it, but a ring of light hits around that egg. And I was like, I remember stopping it. I got super emotional. I was like, this is glorious. This is so beautiful.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. Now, that being said, I am a paramedic still, right? So going through paramedic school, we have to, it's like a crash course in medicine. It's hard. But you spend like a couple of days in labor and delivery. Oof. Yo, a shout out to all the ladies. Okay. So much respect. I passed out. I'm there trying to learn, and I fell to my knees. Okay. I was like, yo, what is going on here, man? This was like 12, 15 years ago. You think you're some hotshot young firefighter. I can see and do anything. And I got there. It was like 7 a.m. I'm supposed to be there 7 to 7. Right? Hey, you need to help deliver babies so you can do it in the field. All right, cool. Let's do this, right? Hey, Tim, come in here. We got emergency C-section. I was like, yeah, let's do this, man. Girl, the things I saw. I was like, they had the clamps, things spread, and they're pulling guts out. They're putting it. I was just like, that's when I fell to my knees. I was like, oh, I fell down. They said, get him out of here. And I remember leaving that day. I think I helped deliver like 3 or 4 babies. One was emergency C-section. I drove home in silence. I was like, what is life? And I told my sisters, I was like, you guys are warriors. Warriors, okay? That childbirth is radical.
It's radical.
It's like, it's beautiful, but insane at the same time. Yeah. It's amazing. Anyway, it's not to go off on that rant, but
no, it's a
I just remember going through it. I was just like, dude, what the heck? Like, life is a miracle.
It's a miracle. And I say that all the time because, again, we lose hope a little bit in our bodies sometimes. Yeah. We lose hope in what we're capable of. And I tell people always, again and again and again, the body is designed to heal. Yeah. Everything in our body is meant to heal. So if you're holding on to pain, it's there for a reason until it's ready. Yeah. Until you're giving yourself what you need in order to fully heal. And it's, not everyone gives themselves that opportunity. Not everyone meets their body in that collaborative space. Yeah.
No, I hear you on that. I 100% agree. It's hard because how do you, kind of the best way to put this, it's almost like I tell people, you can't teach motivation. But how do you teach someone to try and get in line with themselves, to try to figure out their inner selves and who they are? Don't worry about your external circumstances. Get this in here right first, and then everything else will follow. Yeah. Like if my home life, where I'm internally off, I have such a hard time focusing at work. That's a bad thing to say, right? Because it's like we're here helping people, but it's like I need to be 100% internally, physically, spiritually, and also at home, or like it affects everything in my life. Everything. That's why for me, I'm like, gosh, I've learned that I need to take care of myself. Yeah. How am I going to keep pouring into others if my glass isn't getting filled? It just doesn't work that way. Yeah. It won't work. So, girl, you're such a rock star. I love it. Now, your business, do you also do in person or is it all web-based?
It's web-based, yeah. So I do see people in person, but it's all referral only. So I generally don't accept new patients unless it's coming from another patient. Okay. But it's all online these days.
And how do people get in contact with you?
Yeah. So, you can find me on Instagram.
Let's go.
It's at The Balanced Healer. Okay. My website is thebalancedwomansystem.com. You can also just shoot me an email. info@thebalancedwomansystem.com. I like to chat with people for a living.
Yeah.
I'm like, everyone just message me. Like, if you want to talk, we can talk. I was like, I don't know, Tim. I'll talk to Tim. We're good. I don't care.
Yeah, Wes is like, hey, man, you think Hannah come on? I'm like, Hannah. I was like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't care. I don't know who she is. But yeah, bring her on, man. Let's talk with her. Cool.
Oh, my God.
All right, so do you come back out here often?
Yeah.
Or do you stay on the East Coast?
Yeah, so my family's here. Yeah, okay. They're in California and Hawaii. So we're here a lot.
Okay. Are you still getting, please tell me you're getting surfing in.
Yeah.
Okay. Has Jeff learned how to surf?
He's gone. Bless the man. He actually learned how to surf at Surf Ranch. So.
Oh, he did? Oh,
yeah.
Come on. Okay.
They got him in the water. They got him with the coach.
Jeff, you got it too good, bro. That's so cool.
He has no fucking idea what
better
it
place, though? I mean, why not? Oh, my gosh. That's super
Surfing
cool.
perfect little waves. He's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep him going.
Keep him going.
Keep him going.
I will tell you the relief when I realized, I'm like, oh, he's okay in the ocean. I was like, he's from New York, you know,
right.
Born and raised. He always calls himself like an upstate rube. Like the man didn't see the light of day till he was 25. That's why his skin's so perfect still. He's 42. He looks like he's in his 20s. Here. He looks good.
Oh, does my man Jeff have a skincare routine?
No.
What?
He doesn't know.
Okay. All right. I'm going to talk to him after and find the secret.
It's because he didn't see the light of day. He grew up in basically Canada.
Wow.
But he's a competent swimmer.
Okay.
Totally good to go. Goes to the beach with me every day that we're home.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, how was that first time taking the water?
Oh my gosh. There was definitely a moment where he was like, oh, this is a little scary, you know?
Yeah. Like, bro, it's 2 feet.
I took him like in front of the house with like an extra heavy beach break. I'm like, you just run in really quick in between sets. You'll be totally fine. I was like, just keep going. Yeah. I'm like, if you hesitate, you're going to get rocked. Oh, yeah. Like, just go.
Right. Oh, my dad, oh, gosh. You probably heard me talk about Wes. When he took me out when I was 8, we used to like boogie board and stuff.
Yeah.
Surfing. And finally, he never forced on us. And I said, hey, Dad, I want to surf. Okay. And we, one morning we went, foggy. Mm-hmm. He just gives me a board. And he just goes, I'll see you out there in the break.
Oh, my God.
What? What are you talking about, dude? I got throttled. I remember saying, he's like, whatever you do, don't give up.
Yeah.
Just get out there. And one of the best moments I ever had, to this day, it's still so etched in my mind. But finally paddling and figuring out bouncing the board and I was paddling out. I was so terrified. Mm-hmm. I still remember that feeling. You're just this little kid. Everything looks huge. It's foggy. Like you barely see the waves when they're probably like 8 feet away from you coming in. And I finally made it out to the breakwater.
Exhausted.
But as soon as I'm getting out there, I see this guy coming through the fog. He's taking this left. It looked huge to me. I'm a little kid. It was my dad. And he had his classic 60s stance and he's whistling, doing his thing. And I was like, yeah, I remember dude. I was like, that is my hero. I want to be this guy. It was such a beautiful moment.
It's that moment. Yeah. I mean, my dad still surfs the same way.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Arms up in the tube, extra low.
Yeah, he's always like this. He's 82 and he's still going.
Oh,
it's just awesome. He has this group over here at Bolsa Chica. I don't know if you heard probably Bolsa Chica. And it's like 16.5. All these old dudes hang out. They get there right when it opens. They got food out for each other. They talk and they go surf for 30 minutes and then come out.
That's it.
It's so rad to see.
It's it. Like it really is.
Yeah. And it's good because I can see how much that's helped my dad just from, he was a Green Beret for 22 years. Like he's a tough man. But I had a brother who passed away in a car accident in 2004. He was 18. And my dad being such a tough man, that was the first time in my life I ever saw him break down. And that was a really difficult time. That moment was hard, but just the years after that, the amount of pain that you still see your parents in. Like life goes on. I think that's what's also the hardest part. I mean, the sun still rises and sets. You still got to pay bills. You still have responsibilities. And seeing how difficult it was on him and my mom, but also seeing what the ocean did for him. He never stopped surfing. I knew that was his go-to. He just goes. It's like that's been his mantra for so long for him, and seeing how it's just brought so much healing and so much fun. And I remember talking to him the other day, and we were chatting, sitting at his house. He's over here in Lakewood. He's not far, and we were just talking. And he just brought it up. He's like, those years after your brother passed, when we were surfing together, were some of the best years of my life. And he's like, that's exactly what I needed at that time. It was so hard. He said he tried his best to help the family, but he was trying to figure out the struggle for himself and that pain of losing a child. But like, it gets me emotional to talk about it now, but him saying like, yeah, you meeting me at the beach and still going when you were a teenager and what we did together. Like he said, that meant more to me than anything. You know, it's like, gosh, I love the ocean. Like, I don't want to give this up.
Yeah.
So it's
one of those eternal things.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, he's also been out when I was out on it was about I want to say it was like 14, 16 feet. I was the only idiot out there on a longboard going for it. Yeah. And I think there's a bunch of people on the beach watching. Anyways, I probably charge more than I probably should on the boards they have. But it's like, hey, we're at the beach. Let's go, man. I ended up wiping out on like the second wave. Huge wall. Well, I ended up like hurting my neck. Yeah. And I was in the hospital for like 3 days. My poor dad watched the whole thing because pretty much went straight down the longboard. The board shot up and just smacked me in the head. There was a big gouge out of the board. And then I couldn't feel my arms and legs. I was like, hey, Dad, I think we need to go to the hospital.
Fuck.
Yeah, but he was like, he brings it up. He's like, remember that time you were stupid and went out on a 16-foot day?
Really, it was a really good idea. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I was like, hey, man, that's how legends are made, bro. Let's go.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, but he was like, that was really tough because when you wiped out, he's like, that was one of the only times I've ever been scared watching you surf. I was like, sorry, Dad, but it's pretty rad, right?
I mean, the things we sacrifice for something that is just pure pleasure. Yeah. And to touch on what you said earlier, like, how do we motivate people?
Yeah.
People are very simple. Like, we move towards pleasure and away from pain. So if we associate pleasure with something that's challenging, that's difficult, and we say things like, I love a good challenge, it makes it feasible to move through these things that are difficult. So just to wrap it up, we don't need to hone in on it anymore, but it's like people come to me when they are desperate to get away from pain, and they are willing to do whatever it takes. Change their diet, change their lifestyle, change their relationships, change their careers, because they know what it's like to struggle, and they're willing to do what it takes to no longer feel that way.
Yeah, it sucks when you have to get to that point.
Yeah.
Been there many times.
Absolutely.
You're just at wit's end. It's like, dude, what is going on?
Yeah, it's what makes us who we are.
Yeah, and one of the last things I want to talk about with you too is we talked about just the type of medicine you do, and it's amazing. And how can that be related to a lot of people who listen here that are dealing with a lot of mental health things? Because it's a big thing now. And it actually has been a long time. It's just been taboo to talk about. I'm not afraid to talk about it on here at all. I go to therapists. I need to start seeing them again. I haven't gone in a few weeks, but it's helped me so much. But how is some of that medicine going to help with the people that I work with their PTSD and the things that they're going through?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a combination of things. You know, there's always what we do for ourselves, and there's always the help that we seek from other people. So when we're at least trying, you know, when we're at least doing little things day in and day out, it's these little consistent things that will ultimately lead to bigger results. And that is why, like, I talk about, you know, faith. I talk about hope. I talk about trusting that there is a bigger picture to this. Your life is one big, long experience. And if you're caught up in just a couple of chapters where things are difficult, you forget what it's like to really heal. And when it comes to mental and emotional health, it's recognizing that it's temporary if you want it to be. That you can come back to center. You can reclaim your health. You can reclaim your life. That it is your right as a human being to live a life that is fulfilling, that is more meaningful. And I've seen people overcome extraordinary obstacles and extraordinary odds, but it's starting small. You know, it's small things add up to bigger results. Like, I think about it all the time. Like, you know, we could go to the gym one day and be like, okay, I'm going to like work out. I'm going to get really fit and really healthy and go to the gym for 8 hours. Yeah. And we might feel really good about ourselves, but walk out of there feeling like, am I really seeing any results? Am I really seeing any shifts or any changes? Yeah. As opposed to if we're dedicated and we're like, okay, I'm just going to commit to doing 20 or 30 minutes 3 times a week. At the end of a month or 2, you're going to feel different. So with our mental health, with our emotional well-being, like these daily practices, these little rituals, these little things that we do for ourselves, whether it's making healthier food choices or seeing an acupuncturist or asking someone for help or just taking that first step into the therapist's office, just opening up your mind a little bit in terms of small things you can do, that's ultimately what leads to you feeling like you're yourself again and that you're in control.
I'm glad you said it's the little things.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, at least for myself, you think it's got to be this huge change.
No.
Big life moment, it's like just be faithful in the small.
Yeah. It's not sustainable. Yeah. I think big shifts, big moments are also important.
Yeah.
But just these little things that we do for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Like waking up and drinking a lemon water,
right.
Eating a little bit of fruit today,
Yeah.
Choosing to eat just a hamburger instead of the bacon cheeseburger. Just like a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of bacon.
Maybe just like a little bacon. You're like, can I just have like one piece of bacon?
Yeah. No, that is, gosh, you're so right in all that. It really is. I mean, it is the small.
It adds up.
Be faithful in the small things.
Be faithful in the small things.
Absolutely. Now, real quick, are you really getting your PhD right now?
My doctorate.
Your doctorate. Yo, can we just celebrate this for a second? That's a big deal. Okay, so I'm working on my master's right now.
Yeah.
And I have 6 classes left, 14 to take. And let me tell you, I am so done. I can't, I'm just like, this needs to end. I've never written so many papers in my entire life.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this? And I can't sit still. I'm like, I kind of got to keep myself occupied doing stuff. I mean, it's going to make me better, but I thought about the PhD. I think I was like 4 classes in. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm on a roll. Like I'm passing with B's and A's. We'll do this. And in one of my classes, I had to write a long research paper. I was done because I talked to somebody at the college about, hey, what's your PhD program? I'm like, well, you're going to have to take this class first and research writing and this and that. And I thought, to anyone who has a PhD, God bless you. Straight up. That is dedication. Even the masters. Because right now, I would tell you, it's so hard not to be like, I'm done with this.
I'm over.
I just want to throw it up. But okay, real reality is I'm paying for it. So I'm like, you can't quit. Like you're in, bro. Yeah, you're in it to win it. You got to finish. But what's the PhD that you're working on?
I mean, you bring up such a good point just with that right there. When you are invested in something, you show up. I'm a big fan of paying for things because I know that when I pay, I'm in.
Oh yeah.
I'm making the most of it. Like
yes.
I am all in. Yeah, so it's a doctorate in Chinese medicine. So it's funny because at this point I have I have about 10 or 11 years of formal higher education under my belt.
Oh.
And even still in China, I'd be a doctor.
Yeah.
I'd be a doctor at this point in my education with my experience, with my clinical hours, with everything I've done. But in the US, it's a credentialed society, which I appreciate. I'm like, I want people to be competent in what they do.
Yeah.
I want them to be dedicated. If someone's sticking needles in me, I want them to know what the fuck they're doing.
Yes, yeah.
Plain and simple. So it's really just that deeper understanding of Chinese medicine, of how it relates to people on a global scale. And it's just this next step in the journey.
Okay.
And for me, education and investing in myself, investing in my ability to deliver to other people is ultimately all about being in service. So I want to be the best that I possibly can be so that I can help other people do the same.
Well, I want to say hugely impressed. Please keep going and don't quit. Keep going. It's encouraging. It's really cool. When you sent me and I saw that what you said about kind of about yourself, a rundown, I was like, yo, this girl's got some brain power, man. I just put water on fire. It's pretty simple. It's like the wet stuff on the red stuff, man. It goes out. So when I saw that, I was like, dude, Hana's rad. Like, heck yeah. But I could say thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I know you have a busy schedule. It was great hanging with you and your husband and family at the Dead Man's Luau. What you're doing with your business and the education. I mean, it's all such great things. Keep going.
Thank you.
You don't know the lives that you're going to impact with what you're doing. And I say this a lot with people. It's like you brought up that ripple effect. You just throw that rock in, boom, right? That you don't know how many people, just from touching one life, how that's going to continue to ripple out. So if I can be encouraging, keep going.
Yeah, thank you.
You have no idea the amount of lives you're probably going to impact until you're off this earth. And you'll know, like, oh, wow, I actually did good.
Looking down like, oh, yeah. That was me. Did you see that?
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here and being so open and chatting. We really appreciate it. you and Jeff will always have a place in our home if you guys ever need anything.
Thank you so
always
much.
Here. And if he wants to surf when he's up here, I got like 12 boards. Tell him to come just grab them. I'll give him the code of the garage. Just pick anyone you want, bro.
Oh my gosh. We're in.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on. At the end of every podcast, we do a let's go on the count of 3. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Let's go.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for listening in. If you liked what you just listened to, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Please follow us on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Facebook. And a big shout out to Stephen Clark, our sound editor. He's a huge part of this team that is unseen. It's 89 Barbers, our first sponsor. Look good, feel good, be great. That's 2 locations, Orange, California, and Long Beach, California. Book your appointment online, 89barbers.com. Bye, everybody.